confess something. I was really very scared to meet you.
Me?
Yes. And gorgeous and talented. And your connection with David. You know, there was a time when I thought we were on the road to getting back together. And then I met you.
Say hi to Julia.
Hi, Julia.
Hi, Lily.
Say bye to Mommy.
My sweetheart.
You'll get used to Tessa. She's adjusting, too.
I know she's Lily's mother, and of course I respect that, but it feels like I'm stepping into her life.
It's not easy, all this change. I get it. No, you don't. You couldn't possibly. Don't worry. In no time, you will be back with Mommy. How well do you really know Julia?
You are a survivor, and what happened was not your fault.
I only had David and Lily. You took everything away from me.
Who sent you flowers?
What do you mean there's no record of who sent the arrangement?
Take a deep breath. No one knows where you live.
Where's your ring? How come you haven't been wearing it?
She's messing with me.
I made one mistake. There isn't a day that goes by that...
Tessa. Goodbye.
You're worthless, Julia. You will always be worthless.
Tessa, why are you here? David?
You should never have brought her here.
I'm done with crazy.
You gave it all to her, right in front of me! Oh my God, she sent you here.
Miss Banks, the man is dead. Found in your home.
You see what this looks like, right?
Tessa, she was the one behind all of this.
Enough is enough. Are you threatening me?
Yes, I'm threatening you.
This isn't my life. It's mine!
Keep it going for Geoff Stults, guys.
Hi, guys.
Come on.
This is cool.
It's really cool. And that trailer's pretty cool too, man.
It's creepy. Look at her. Look at the way she looks at me.
That was gonna be literally my first question is how did you handle that on set? Katherine Heigl staring at you with those eyes, man. It's insane.
I mean, honestly, I didn't like it. It was like, it was a little too real for me. Yeah. And she, I mean, to her credit as an actress, like, she really put a lot of time and effort into that character, and so therefore carried that around with her. So it wasn't like, you know, whereas Rosario and I were like, you know, just being jackasses all day long, having a good time. The dynamic with Katherine and everybody else was like, you know, I mean, she was playing crazy, she was being crazy. Yeah. It's hard to it wasn't really fun to be around because I mean that was the relationship of our characters. So it was always at the end of the day it was nice to be around her when she was kind of taking her hair off and wiping that character away. But during the day between takes she kind of stayed in it between setups. And then, you know, like she and I over just, you know, fart jokes and whatever else. But that was, I mean, because if you think about it, our relationship really for 2/3 of that movie is like, it was a love story between Rosario and I. And then, yeah, it's scary.
Your ex-wife gets involved. I mean, did she just like sit in the corner in a bag because she looks so put together? They like zip her up in something because like the dresses, the hair, everything looks immaculate.
Actually, yes, it wasn't. But that's what I mean. Between takes, she would sit and read, or she would sit and work on, you know, reading the script, and like whereas I would just get up and I'd be like, oh, where's the free food? And but so she sort of stayed there and kind of it's, you know, some people work like that, and she really couldn't jump in and out of it that much because it takes a lot of time and effort to. I mean, she's not that in real life. She's not, but she really wore that during filming.
Now tell me a little bit about getting this role, man, because I mean, as far as roles go, it doesn't get much better other than Knives aside, right? You know, playing a brewery owner and being in a love triangle with Rosario Dawson and Katherine Heigl. I mean, when that came across your desk, what were you thinking?
You know, that was one of those things is, I got this opportunity. I got the script and I read it, and I saw their two names on it, and I was like, well, this doesn't suck. And I did. I had to read for it, actually. I had put myself on tape, sent it in. I think I had missed the original auditions, and for whatever, I think the director was drunk when she watched my tape and saw something. And I went in and met with them, and I got the job, and like it was all roses. And then you get to set, and you're like, oh, all right, these are people that I've been aware of, I'm fans of. I mean, both of them have been working since they were about the same age. I think Rosario was kids when she was 12 or 13, and my father, the hero, with Gerard Depardieu when she was about the same age. So I grew up. I'm older than them, but I grew up watching them because I didn't start in this business till much later. So I got there, and it was intimidating. It was like you got to bring your A game a little bit around these two. Yeah. I just try not to screw up the whole time. Yeah.
Well, you definitely hold your own, man. You're so perfect for the role. I think they did a great job with that casting.
I don't think anybody else would show up, is all it was. Yeah.
I think they would have. When you're drinking those beers, are those real or are those fake? You're taking a lot of swigs of.
Well, it's in the scenes when she was really mean to me. Like, yeah, they were real. Yeah. No, that was kind of an interesting thing. The plot line of the guy being a brewery owner. There's a brewery in LA called Golden Road, and they set it up. I got to go tour around the brewery and hang out with the brewmaster and all that. And that was a much bigger scale of things. I've drank beer before. I liked beer. I didn't know anything about the making of beer. I thought it was always at the store when you went to buy it. So that was it was a kind of fun little background of the character. But yeah, it was just for me. It was other than the just overall fear most days from Katherine and the intimidation factor between Rosario and Katherine, and then you add Cheryl Ladd, who's just still one of the most sexy people that I've ever seen. I loved it. I felt like I was, other than being the odd man out and terrified to speak, I had a great time.
Yeah. I mean, speaking about terrified, I think this movie, I got a chance to see it early.
Okay.
It's so fantastic. It does it really effectively. I feel like every moment is used to its greatest degree. Okay. And the music and does it feel like that on set? Are you actually jumping out of your skin? Because on the other side, on the audience side, you're definitely feeling it.
Yeah. This movie, I think it's pretty unique and something that needs to be talked about. It was, it's unfortunate that this is still even a hot topic to talk about. It shouldn't be, but it was written by, produced by, directed by, and starred by women. So that's there was.
Do a round of applause for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
More of that in Hollywood, please.
That has been something that throughout the press people are talking about quite a bit. And to be honest with you, it didn't even occur to me that was a thing. I got this job, and Denise Denovi, the director, couldn't be more capable. She's just a powerhouse of a producer. She's been around for years and years. So it's not like, so technically it's her directorial debut, but I didn't feel that way. I just felt like I was being directed by the best person for the job. That being said, it is the optics on this are unique. It's like, this is a thriller in the genre of, like, I'd say Basic Instinct, Fatal Attraction, those kind of things. That's sort of feeling. But it's just it's a new take on that. And one of the interesting things about this is we deal with a lot of things that are, have been around forever, domestic violence, but also like, cyber stalking and social media and some of the things that happen. And also, in a way, everybody, all of us, myself included, maybe myself the most, in a way, this guy is the damsel in distress, not them two. They're, so, but we're all victims in a certain way. You find out, maybe why Katherine might be the way she is based on her relationship with her mother, her past with the, shame of domestic violence, and then, where I'm at, kind of caught in between everything. But I think the sensitivity of all those things, being directed by, like, just having it be a female-dominated experience, I think it was I don't know, better or worse. That was the only opportunity. It was direct. It happened. It wasn't a male director, obviously, but I think they did such a great job of making it It wasn't about crazy. I think some of these other movies about, oh, that girl's crazy, the ex is crazy. It wasn't. It was more about, to me, it was more about this opportunity, and the situation led a very normal person to behave crazy, and then kind of the realistic part, the scary part for me is that you could see how that might happen. It just little by little, late night, glass of wine, getting on Facebook, digging into her past, digging more and more, and you spiral out of control, and then obviously it derailed in a way where she couldn't go backwards. But so I think all of that, if you take all of that into perspective, it lent itself to being a unique, really realistic portrayal of this story.
Yeah, they're all completely well-rounded characters.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fully seen through. And you mentioned it, absolutely the relevant topics. I want to discuss that. I mean, the Facebook, the catfishing, and these are all things that are happening right now in our day and age, and you could absolutely see the scenario going down. I mean, what was that like to sort of see something so relevant and timely in a script as well?
Yeah, again, those are things like you read it and you're like, this is awesome and this is a great job and I'm excited to work with these people. And then when you kind of put the work in and think about it, you're like, man, this shit could happen. Yeah, this is why I'm not married. This is why I don't do Facebook. This is terrifying. And I think this stuff really could happen. I think this is obviously an exaggeration of most people, but the crazy stuff happens. And we're in a day and age where everybody in this room could get a message to me on some form, social media platform. They could reach out to me and I could reach back out to them. And that's, there's no anonymity anymore. I mean, we're all kind of, the world gets smaller and smaller every day. It's cliche to say, but it's the truth. And then because of that, all these social issues everybody's always known about all these things, but they're ever present and we're seeing them more and more and quicker and quicker. I mean, something happens, we all know about it immediately.
Yeah. I mean, at Geoff Stults. So if you guys want to direct any messages at
That's
him
right.
on
Geoff
the Instagram
M.
or the
Stults.
Twitter, here we go.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about the Facebook. I mean, have you ever received messages? I'm nothing like this, obviously, but something on the lighter side.
I have one right now going that's fantastic, and it's gone on for about 3 months, and it's this young lady who has invited me to Punta Cana. I think that's the Dominican Republic. Is that right?
Yeah. It's beautiful there.
For her 40th birthday, and the messages are 2 or 3 times a week. It's take a chance. I'm single. I live with my mother. I promise I'm normal. And she seems really, I haven't engaged on it, but she seems really nice. And I've actually looked. It's you can get to people. I've sent messages to people before, call me back. Can I have a job? Yeah.
100%. That's how people are doing it these days. Tell me a little bit about, seeing the final product, seeing it all come together with the music, the effects, everything like that. I'm sure it's a completely different experience than, when you're filming it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I have a bit of a superstition. I really don't like to watch anything that I'm in until I get to watch it with an audience, or if it's a TV show and I want to watch it when the general public is watching it. So I saw an early cut, so I knew when we were going to go do reshoots, and so I could get back into the tone of it and all that, and a little bit for ADR. ADR is when you go replace the dialogue, additional dialogue recording, and I haven't seen it with the music. I haven't seen it with all the suspense. I haven't seen it since I know people are telling me they're talking to the screen and are jumping in their seats. So the premiere is actually is in a few days, and I'll see it then with all my friends and family. And as I say that, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be sitting next to my mom while I have sex with Rosario Dawson.
She's gonna be so proud.
Yeah, she's already texted. When she sees the trailer, she'll text me, be like, I can't watch it. I can't watch it if it's scary. Just tell me what happens at the end. And I'm like, there's no way I'm telling you. You have to watch it. But then I don't want to sit next to her when I'm
earmuffs, Mom. Earmuffs.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Oh God, that's gonna be weird.
I will say that, guys, you have to see it with the audience, because I agree with you. I think seeing a horror film, there's nothing like seeing it with a crowd and having those reactions, those visceral reactions. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your young co-star. What was it like playing a dad?
This was an interesting experience for me. I keep telling myself that I'm too young to be a dad. That's not true, obviously. So we cast this young girl, and I had to do chemistry reads with her and all that. And there's all these amazing little girls that come in, and they're better actors and more well-spoken than I am. I don't know how that's possible. But Isabella walked in, and it was like, yeah, you always hear this thing about, casting and getting discovered and all that. But she just walked in the room, and I was like, that's the girl. And I just instantly fell in love with her. We still talk constantly. Before I came out here, she's on spring break, so we went for a little hike with my dog, and we had acai bowls. I mean, she's just like, I've never had a
good
dog.
dad.
Yeah. I'm like the goofy uncle that lets her get away with stuff. Yeah, and her mom's always rolling her eyes at me. But yeah, it's a really interesting experience It's one thing to have, a fake relationship and a fake ex-wife, and as adults, you understand that we're playing make-believe. But these kids get attached. They get attached to mom. They get attached to the new mom. They don't, they're young. So she was 8 when we filmed this, and just such a special girl. I personally wish that she would just stop acting until she was like 20 and go be a normal kid. But that's hard. That's what she does. She's very talented. Her brothers and sisters do it as well. I'm jealous. I take that back. I want her to keep working because I'll be like, she'll get me jobs. She's much more talented than me.
Hey, you need a dad in this one?
Yeah, you need a dad? Need a dad? You're like, not anymore. Yeah.
I wonder if she'll be at the premiere because I think that would be a crazy experience.
I think there's the content. I think she'll do the press line and all that stuff, but she'd have to earmuff half the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about some lighter subject, Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
I rewatched that recently, and man, tell me, that was such a great experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, man, that was early on in my career, and I had such a little part of that, but I'm so grateful. I had no idea. I was just like, this is awesome. I got hired to go be around Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, who I obviously was fans of, and I had like 4 lines in there. And still today, people come up to me constantly, and they quote those lines. I didn't even know the lines when I was doing it. Like, the fact that people know them, but it's the kind of movie where you can watch it over and over again. It can be in the background. College kids, people watch it. It's one of those that holds up. It's still hilarious.
Yeah. Do they come up with you with the polo shirts popped and that sort of thing, and the sweaters over the neck?
And a lot of people get, because it's Vince as well. They get my role in Wedding Crashers and then the role in the breakup with Vince a little bit confused. They know it's the same dude, but they're like saying the lines from one to the other, and I'm like, and now it's confusing me. Just to be around those guys, like kind of like at the height of their on their ascent, I guess, to comedy gods, I guess, that was one of Bradley Cooper's first things, and I think Rachel McAdams. I told the story the other day. As a young actor, one of the coolest things I've ever seen was watching a director direct a performance out of another actor by using the off-camera performance of another one. So he would give notes to Rachel off camera, and her performance would then dictate Owen's response. It was just like, and I just was like, this girl is incredible, and just rapid fire, changing thoughts, changing notes, and the way she would do. You guys will never see it because it was off camera, but I just got to sit there and stare at him like, oh, I'm out of my league here. Yeah.
Not at all, man. Not at all. And then working with Vince Vaughn twice. That guy is one of the greatest guys. I gotten to chat with him a couple of times. Tell me, this got to be a great Vince Vaughn story. He's got to crack people up constantly.
So I did Wedding Crashers, obviously, and then the breakup came about, and I got that job, and I was so grateful. We shot that in Chicago, and Vince is from Chicago. He's a Chicago god. And one night he was like, come on, kid. I'm a big guy. He's a bigger guy. So I feel like he's like his arms around me, and he was like, let's go have a beer. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. We went to this bar. We had a couple drinks. We're hanging out with some of his friends, and he was like, we're going to go to another bar. So I was like, okay, what can I do for Vince Vaughn? You know what I'll do? I'll run outside and I'll get a cab. So he was paying the check. He's richer than me, so he can pay the check. And I had a cab waiting for us, and I was like, okay, Vince, jump in. And he goes, come here. And he literally whistled, and a cop car drove around and picked us up and took us to the next bar. And I was like, come on, man.
That's a one-upsman right there.
He whistled, and the dude like zipped around. I'm like, what is happening, man?
That's legendary right there, man.
Yeah, it is.
Wow, that's incredible. Talking about the future and everything like that. I mean, you got some great projects on the horizon right now. We got Granite Mountain.
Yeah.
We have the Horror Soldiers, I believe, is
Yeah.
also coming out. Tell me a little bit about those experiences. First, Granite Mountain, of course. That cast is ridiculous.
Yeah, Granite Mountain's a really special project. I think for those of you guys who don't know about it, Granite Mountain is based on a horrible incident about a fireman, wildland firefighters, forest fire firefighters, and outside of in Arizona, outside of Prescott, Arizona, 20 guys went in to fight a fire to protect the town, and horrific circumstances led to 19 of them passing away. So it's a story about them. It's Josh Brolin, Miles Teller, Jeff Bridges, Jennifer Connelly, Taylor Kitsch, James Badgedale, and then there's a bunch more of us. The great thing about that is that we had an opportunity to tell a story. It's not about their deaths, and we all know that happened, but it's really about their lives and the sacrifices, and I really feel like a tribute not only to them, but to the people that they left behind. And one of the unique things about this, a lot of times when Hollywood gets around to telling a story of people, it might be, there's a lot of this happened a long time ago. These guys, it's 4 years ago. Their families were on set. We met their wives, we met their kids, we met their parents. So that we all felt the gravity of what we felt was our responsibility to do them justice, do these guys justice. I mean, their kids are some of these guys that they're going to know more about their dads based on this movie because they're so little when they passed away. So for me, as an opportunity to be a part of something much bigger than I was, I felt really grateful. And it was interesting how, as actors, we really just enjoyed that experience. And it's silly and maybe a little cheesy to say, but it brought us as guys together a lot. I'm still on a Granite Mountain group chat, and there's 20 dudes on it, and it goes off the creepy stuff that's on those texts all day long. I mean, when you get 20 guys, it's a locker room. And the other thing is that we had the unique opportunity to have two of the guys that actually were on the crew and knew all of these dudes. They were in the movie. One was our technical advisor, and one actually, Brennan Bunch played. He's a fireman, and we wanted him in the movie, and he played his best friend who had passed away. So there was no day that we couldn't see him and realize how important what we were doing was to him and his family. I mean, we were literally playing his best friends that passed away. So, and then the other one I'm super excited about is another true story called Horse Soldiers, and it's based on a book, and it's about the first American Special Forces responders to Afghanistan after 9/11. And I think everybody can remember the feeling of helplessness and where they were at after 9/11. Certainly, if you were old enough to remember that, I mean, I know I do. And this is about kind of the guys that the men and women in this story. It was 12 men in uniform that went, and we really didn't know what was going on. The intel told us, who was the bad guy supposedly, and these were the first guys, and they were so early. There was no U.S. military presence in Afghanistan at that point. They were just 12 dudes dropped off 8 hours away from any kind of backup, and they partnered with the Afghan people and to battle the Taliban. And one of the things that's great about this, first of all, it's another incredible cast. It's Chris Hemsworth and Michael Shannon, Michael Pena. Those guys are just awesome to be around. I mean, Chris is annoying because he's so damn good looking, but it is
another
annoying.
tall guy.
Yeah.
How you find guys taller than you, man?
I don't know, man. Not only is he tall, he's just all day long. He's standing there, his hair is perfect. He's got a sexy accent. It's come on. My mom's sending me stuff that he's posting on Instagram. Is he a good father too, or is this bullshit? I'm yeah, he's a good father. It's so annoying. But that's another one. It was just that was kind of one of those movies where you're just yeah, this is. I made it. I'm playing dress up with some of my best buddies. We don't have to do hair and makeup. We're running around shooting guns, riding horses. It was a blast.
That's awesome, man. Can't wait for people to see those in Unforgettable. I think we have some questions in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
So right there.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks
What's
for
up,
being
dude?
here.
It's a good-looking stash. I like that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I must ask you a question.
Yeah. Oh, I set myself up for that.
Okay, sit
I
down.
set myself
Next
up for that. Good work.
Stand up.
So you've obviously been on the actor side of the camera. Have you thought about being on the other side, the director side? And if so, what kind of project would you like to work on?
You know, it's something I think a lot of actors think about. I think about it all the time. I feel like my skill set is probably a little bit more, I respond more to the producing side. I do feel like as an actor, you learn a lot, and I would have it, you know, working with a lot of different kind of actors. I think I'd have a unique outlook and could speak actor. I'm really intimidated by the editing process. I don't like, and I know some people are, that's their skill set. And I mean, I really think there's three really distinct aspects of making a movie: pre-production, casting, shooting, and then editing. I mean, it's just three totally, it's like the difference between being a great actor and a great auditioner. Totally different skill sets. So yeah, the answer is I'd love to, I'd love to direct at some point. I need to get a grasp on the editing process a lot, you know, or otherwise you're giving your baby away to somebody else that's a better editor. And but just like, and I know movies can be made in the editing room, and you can. It's really interesting how you can tell a different story just based on the way you edit it or add music or, you know, the tone. So I'm not quite there yet with it, but at some point in my career I'd love to. I'll start small, maybe a short, and always comedy.
There we go. I like that. Next question.
Hey, I'm just curious, what was it like working with T.J. Miller in one of the earlier movies that you did? She's out of her league. And is he really like his characters in real life?
That dude is amazing, yeah. TJ is, yeah, I mean, he's pretty close to that. He's hilarious. We did that movie together, and that was one of the fun ones in my career. I think She's Out of My League was a bit of a throwback type romantic comedy thing to, like, you know, some of the movies that I grew up watching in the 80s. But yeah, TJ, he's got a personality, he's got a presence about him. I wouldn't say he's exactly like that, but he's incredibly intelligent. He's much smarter than I am, way quicker than I am. So he's similar in personality and his ability at improv and the way he thinks to Vince Vaughn. Like, you really gotta be on your toes around those guys, especially between action and cut. They're way better than we are.
Awesome. So one last question right there.
Hi, I was wondering, as an actor, do you prefer TV or film? And you spoke about privacy, so I was wondering if that affects the roles that you choose.
Wow. Okay. I would say this. When I first started in the business, it was much more streamlined. If you did television, you did television. If you did film, you kind of did film. And today, with all the different ways that content is available to people, actors are just kind of going to where the story is, and the writing. So it's kind of the Wild West. I mean, that's why you see so many people that you never saw do TV doing TV now, because there's less and less statistically movies being made every year because there's 2,000 channels that you can watch great content on, and you can watch every single thing that's out there on your phone at some point. So yeah, I don't have a preference anymore. I do really love the live audience aspect of television. I mean, the comedies, certain comedies, and that's kind of like, it's just barely hanging on, that genre. They're not doing a lot of those anymore. And part of that is because people aren't growing up in the business learning how to do live audience, and it's a different skill set. I just, just by dumb luck, learned how to wait for an audience to stop laughing and say your line. But I love them all is the answer. And I feel really lucky that I'm been able to bounce back and forth throughout my career. And I think that good work begets better work. And I just, these opportunities breed other opportunities. And I'd like to, so right now I'm also on a show called The Odd Couple, which is with Matthew Perry on CBS. And so I went from doing this movie about the firefighters to The Odd Couple to then doing this war movie. So I think I'm really lucky to do all of them. And privacy, that's, I haven't really experienced anything too weird in my life. But when I did the breakup, there was a National Enquirer article that came out saying, because it was like one day I walked like from lunch to the trailers with Jennifer Aniston. So, and they desperately wanted Jennifer Aniston to be dating somebody. So they're like, dating her co-star. It was the coolest I've ever looked. It was like National Enquirer. It was my then girlfriend on one side, me in the middle, Jennifer Aniston on the other side, Vince Vaughn up on top, and then Brad Pitt on the bottom. And it was like, it was the coolest I've ever looked, and that lasted for about 4 seconds. But I did have people like breaking into my apartment complex that I lived at, because that was like right when paparazzi and all that kind of was happening in the States. So that got a little weird. But once they actually looked in my apartment, then they saw my brother and I sitting in our underwear on a shitty couch playing Nintendo. They're like, this is embarrassing. Let's leave this guy alone.
That's hilarious. Well, guys, check out Unforgettable in theaters. You have to see it in theaters. Check it out this weekend. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah.